The City Council meeting for Monday, December 2nd, 2013, for regular scheduled meeting. If you'd please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Mayor Burchill.
Here.
District 1 Morset.
Here.
District 2 Yaku.
Here.
District 3 Bernard.
Here.
District 4 Tewinkle.
Here.
District 5 Hoggett.
Here.
District 6 Vanslo.
Here. At this point in our agenda, we ask anyone in the audience if they have anything to address the council that's not on the agenda. Now is the time. So if there's anyone here, if you could come up to the mic and give us your name and address, and we can go. Please, sir. Okay.
Hello, Bob McClinsky, 1301 Freer Street. Say, I've got just a handout that might make this go faster. Is it all right if I give it to you?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, on the first page is a couple of photos I took yesterday. When I came home from work one day, I think it was early November, I was driving down 13th Street, and this house, 215 13th Street South, is just two houses down from my house. And I noticed this satellite dish on a pole sitting in the front yard, and that caught me off guard because I thought, is that really allowed? Can somebody really put their satellite dish on a pole in their front yard? I thought that was kind of strange and didn't look very good. About 3 days later, I happened to be just about a block away, 423 11th Street South, saw the same exact thing. So I've seen it twice now in my neighborhood. So I looked in the Hudson ordinances, and on the second page, you'll see there is an ordinance called satellite television dishes. I've underlined in blue some of the key sections. Satellite television dish is defined as any dish-shaped antenna that receives television broadcasts. Part B, permit. No satellite television dish shall be erected or placed on any property within the city until a permit has been obtained. Application for the permit shall be made at the office of the city planner, zoning administrator, and shall include a plot plan which shall include the location of the dish. Under C, location for residential, A, any satellite dish shall be located only in the rear yard of a residential lot and behind the principal dwelling. And B, any satellite television dish shall be located as close to the residence as reasonable. On the next page, under D, size, 1C, satellite dishes of 36 inches or in diameter or less, if mounted on the residence or building, are exempt from the regulations. And then at the bottom, the planning zoning administrator shall have primary responsibility for the enforcement of the regulations. So it looked pretty clear that this idea of putting a dish on a pole was not in compliance with the ordinance. It should have either been put in the backyard or, because it was under 36 inches, could have been placed on the building itself. So I sent an email to David Gray pointing this out and asking him to look into it and get back to me. And I waited a month and didn't hear anything from him, phone call or email. So I called him on Friday and he said, oh yeah, I was meaning to get back to you. The city does not enforce this ordinance. I said, really? And he said, yeah. I said, do you require permits? Because that's required by the ordinance. And he said, no, we don't require the permits. And I said, well, what about the locations? No, we don't enforce that either. Because, they're smaller now, so, basically we don't care. Which was a little astonishing to me. As you know, the statute does say that if they're smaller, you could put them on the residence, and then you're exempt from the regulations. It does not say if they're smaller, you can put them anywhere you darn well please, including on a pole in your front yard, where everybody can see it, and it looks pretty ugly. So my question for tonight is, who do I call at the city to get the city to enforce its own law? I'd like to see these two removed or put on the residence in accordance with the ordinance. And perhaps somebody should call DirecTV and the guy who does the installations and point out that the city has an ordinance, because we want to keep the place, keep the city looking less like a trailer park and more like a nice, aesthetically pleasing place, and have him stop doing this. So that was my question. Can anybody tell me who I should call? Because David Gray is not the guy.
We'll take care of it. Yep, call Mr. Darnold. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay. Madam Clerk, the consent agenda.
To approve the regular meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2013. To approve claims for payment in the amount of $692,704.75. Additional information is posted on the city's website and is available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the issuance of 3 temporary operators licenses for use on January 10th, 2014 at the 45th Parallel Exhibition After-Party event at 109 Locust Street, contingent on payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city and approval by the police department. Additional operator license application information is available on request in the clerk's office. And to approve the denial of an operator's license to Patrick P. McKenzie Jr. as recommended by the police chief due to Mr. McKenzie's history of alcohol and drug-related violations. To approve the engagement letter with Clifton Allen Larson as presented. To approve the water utility budget in the amount of $4,367,822. The sanitary sewer budget in the amount of $2,207,938. The St. Croix EMS budget in the amount of $2,245,596. And the storm sewer budget in the amount of $374,155. To approve the 2014 park user fee amount, the same as in 2013. To approve a temporary Class B malt beverage license for the 45th Parallel Exhibition After Party at the Phipps Center for the Arts on January 10th, 2014 from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. To approve the Plan Commission's recommendation regarding vacation of private easements over lots 48 to 52 and outlot 12, and drainage and utility easements over lots 51 and 52 and outlot 12, Red Cedar Canyon Southwest, and part of drainage and utility easements on Lot 4, Red Cedar Canyon North Cove. Additional information is available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the installation of additional speed limit signs in the Red Cedar Canyon development contingent on homeowners association paying for them and to work with the association on placement. To approve the election inspector appointments as presented by the Republican and Democratic parties and the undesignated election inspectors for the January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2015, with the additional consideration that they may also serve as special registration deputies or special voting deputies as needed for election-related duties at the Christian Community Home or community-based residential facilities after the required training has been completed. The election inspector appointment lists are available in the clerk's office on request. To approve the renewal application for a secondhand jewelry dealer's license for J.R. Hobrecht Jewelry for the period January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014, contingent on payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city. To place on file the Police and Fire Commission minutes of December 12th, 2013, the quarterly reports of the EMS Director and the Public Works and Parks Director, the monthly meeting of the monthly report of the Finance Officer, and the Public Utility Commission minutes of December 10th, 2013. That is all.
Roll call.
I need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion first.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Yakub?
Yes.
Vanslo?
Yeah.
Haggett?
Yes.
Tewinkle?
Yes.
Bernard?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes. Okay. First order of business is the finance, the discussion, possible action on the lease proposal of police vehicles, issue sheet and documents. Neil, Neil or Jeff, which is the, or both?
I think we can do this jointly.
Okay.
The documents you have were reviewed by legal counsel. What they provide for is the lease, both the lease and maintenance for 2 police vehicles. The way the deals are structured, there is a fiscal out clause subject to appropriation by council, but they are 4-year leases with a stated value. Any residual in value in excess of the stated value that's shown on the lease, the city can either receive payment for, or we can get a credit if we choose to renew those leases. There is a limitation on if the value is less than that base value that's shown on the lease. There are provisions within the lease that determine that value, and I think I'm trying to think what the formula is. I think it's a difference between the base value and 20% of the listed value. That's pretty much our maximum exposure. So in both instances, those are in the range of $3,000 to $4,000. But I mean, for the most part, if you look at the value of the vehicles that are purchased based upon that price, there is a $10,000 or 10,000 mile per year limit on those. And from working with Marty, I think our average usage of those vehicles is 7,000 to 8,000 miles per year. So we should be well under. So I mean, and as I said before, the lease values that you see are for both the vehicle and for maintenance. The only exception to maintenance is tires.
Anybody have any questions? I know we talked at 4, and we're going to try 2, is what we did. We approved at finance.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the purchase of the 2 police cars. And we have 3 bids that came in. Hudson Ford's at $43,865. River Valley Ford is at $49,295. And Ewald Ford is at $49,308. The finance has recommended that Hudson Ford be awarded the bid for $43,865. We had about $70,000 in the budget, $8,000 a car for the lights and equip it out. So there's another $16,000, so we'll be under budget on this.
I'll move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks. Next is a discussion, possible action to purchase a stainless steel utility box. Tom, this is a piece of equipment that we've, on our new truck, and it's going to be paid for. I'll let Tom explain it. I'm sorry.
This is for the dump box for the back of the new vehicle that we have on order. The money that will purchase this was out of funds that we sold some vehicles, and it's out of that fund, our equipment, sale of other equipment, pieces of equipment. So.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Zulli?
I'll recommend we approve the bid and make the purchase.
Second.
Second? Kurt, second? Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on a request for capital funds. We're going to postpone that until January 13th when Chief Jensen can be here. Then item 10B was discussion and possible action on 2014 capital budgets. I think you have that, Neil.
Hopefully, I trust that everybody got theirs in the mail, their hard copy of that. Good. You know, the real key here is going to be the second page. What I tried to do is get an estimate on the first page of what's going to be carried over. Those are the things that were appropriated for this year that will be carried over to next year because those projects either have not started or have not been completed. On the second page, if you look at the third column over, that's in bold, it says 2014 department requests. What we're talking about for approval tonight would be the items in that column with the exception of the 2 lease items down at the bottom. Those items total $1,969,000. You'll note in there the source of funds. Some of those were funded out of bonds, some of those were out of notes. We do have more flexibility if the council wishes to make any changes, in these. These were the projects that were recommended for 2014 when we went through the 5-year plan. Things that were bonded for when the official statement came out for the sale of those bonds, that actually lists the projects that we're bonding for, and those have to have a certain useful life. So if there were to be any proposed changes in those, I would request that we pull those off for consideration now and talk to bond counsel about those. But as it is right now, the projects were at least preliminarily set when we issued that debt. With regard to the ones for notes, the council, because they are general obligation notes, there are less restrictions on those, and you can move money around between those projects with, at your desire.
So, since we postponed the action for the police for their capital projects fund, what is that going to delay things, or?
No,
Not on
I mean,
the
one
other
of the things in here that we didn't borrow for those. So so if you look at where we're going to be, we will have, just to kind of recap what happened in 2013, beginning of 2013, we had about $1 million surplus, our carryover balance in the capital project fund. In April, we appropriated, I think it was $760,000 so we could get moving on some of those projects, knowing that when we issued debt, we would replenish those funds. So if this is approved, what would have, if this is approved accepting the police items, we're still going to have about, at the end of this year, $1 million carryover balance. So then it's up to the council as to how much of that $1 million balance you would like to use, or if any, and one source of that funding could potentially be for the police items.
I'm going to vent my frustration. I wasn't planning on it, but I have to. So we have, and I don't remember it ever coming off the capital budget request. Apparently we voted on it. I don't even know if I was there for the vote. If I was, I don't know where I was. So we are approving everything for well, not everything. We're approving parks, public works, streets, all of that. We have $1 million left over, and $112,000 was requested for the police, and we just took it off, and we're
I took it
postponing
off, Mary, because I wanted the police chief here.
Right, you took that off for discussion, but it was taken off prior, from what we understood. It was taken off at a finance a while back. You took it off because Marty's not here today to discuss it.
Right.
But it was taken off prior to this.
Okay, so it's back on, so
No,
what's?
she's saying in the original capital budget, Mary was under the assumption that it was included in the original capital budget.
I don't think it was. Was it?
We were all of public safety was under the assumption that was on the original capital budget.
Do you think it was, Neil?
I think when we were doing the 5-year plan, at one point in time, it was on there, originally submitted. Then we went back and there was another loop around where we reviewed those projects,
Yep.
and those projects at that point in time were taken off.
Yep.
I think that was done
Who
at a
was
finance
that?
committee meeting.
It was at a finance meeting, so I wasn't there for that vote, in other words. So I didn't miss something.
Then it would have came back through council.
Would have come back through council.
I feel like I'm the only one who missed, am I the only one who missed it?
I missed it too.
I can't remember it, yeah. I remember talking about it at public safety meeting.
I remember it coming on.
But
I do
don't-
too.
I just don't remember. I don't.
Okay. So we will be bringing it back and talking about it.
That's fine. Okay, I know that we're bringing it back and talking about it, which is fine. That's good. I'm just wanting to vent my frustration that it got removed in the first place, because I think we were I would like to credit the Public Safety Committee because we were very slim in what we requested. I mean, I think we requested a total of $120,000. So
Well, I don't think 120,000 is a slim amount of money, but.
it is compared to the $2,081,000 that we're borrowing. So,
I guess it's a matter of whether you think 100,000 is a lot of money or not. I do. So,
just saying.
So could I ask Tom, had some questions on some other things. Did we approve those department requests yet? No, right?
Which ones?
Well, I've got a couple as far as the Grandview Park Field, Williams Park, not Williams, Prospect Pavilion Roof,
That's what we're doing tonight, I believe.
Williams Shade Structure. Are those funds that really could be used elsewhere for infrastructure instead of,
They were just requests, yes?
could those funds be better used in street repair, maintenance, et cetera?
Absolutely.
Tell me, is the Williams, the Grandview Field improvement, $6,000? What are you gonna do there?
What we've done in the past was we have taken some of the infield dirt and removed that and replaced it with new infield dirt, so it's just a better quality of
It
field.
couldn't go another year? Just your best opinion, I'm just asking
Yeah,
a
it
question.
certainly could. You know, we've done a couple of them, we try to rotate, so we, you know, have a system where we replace them every so many years, but
Okay, so you got the Prospect Pavilion roof repairs.
we've been talking about that for several years. We've had quotes and we've kind of put it off. Probably can get another couple of years out of it. It's just getting kind of in disrepair. It's starting to rust and
It's the main pavilion, right?
it's the main pavilion. We have a lot of rentals up there and
If you wait 2 more years, the cost is just gonna go up.
possibly,
Well, there'll be more damage, probably. I mean, if it's
Yeah.
starting.
Okay, and then the Williams Park shade structure. To me, you've got your video cameras right there, if Mary, it was what you're asking, if it was gonna disappear. I mean, if that's what you wanted to fill in, but my question to you, are these a priority, or could we use those funds for road repair or someplace else?
absolutely. You know, like I said, there's just been a lot of things that have been on our wish list and, you know, we're trying to improve our parks and other things systematically, you know, do a little bit every year and,
Because
but yeah, absolutely. This was requests if the council would care to move things around and prioritize and put things into streets.
my meaning in this, Tom, is that I supported the issuance of these bonds and notes on the predication that we would be working a lot on our infrastructure as far as roads and whatnot. And to me, those are not really what needs to be done right now. Our roads need to be done first.
There's $1 million there for roads in our budget.
I know, but we obviously could spend that in one road.
We need the pavilion to get repaired though, Randy, out of
So
the stuff you're pointing out.
I'm just kind of, that's my thought process with what we're trying to do
I
here.
understand. Like I said, this is requests, you know, and we presented this to the council and,
A want or a need?
a little of both.
Any other questions for Tom? Neil, you have anything else to add? Is there, anybody else have any comments or questions? Mary?
Can I, again, on this whole postponement, can we at least put the handguns back in for now? Because it's $7,000 and it is a need.
We postponed that off of the agenda until we wanted to take them up at the same time. Isn't that what we did? Can we take it back? I don't have a
We're
problem.
talking about the budget, right?
The reason that the issue sheet was one issue sheet. So that's why I kind of kept it as, it was one agenda item. I mean, I guess it would be within their, if they wanted to move the 7,000 tonight, that would,
Fine with me. I
That
just
would
thought
be-
it was one issue sheet.
it was, and that's why it was, I just kept both of them.
Well, the handguns, the way they work, they're city issued. They stay with the city. We've had them for 10 years. They're starting to wear out and we replace them all at the same time.
I don't think anybody has an issue with
Yeah,
that. It was a
so,
question of
I mean,
the
it's
issue
something,
sheets.
I mean, this is not a want, it's a need, so if the cameras are being looked at as a want, and when Randy's talking wants and needs, I would like the handguns back on. At the very least tonight, and we can discuss,
That would, that's
other
up to
requests.
the
So
council.
I would just suggest we take off the Grandview field improvements. It's almost a fair exchange.
Okay. Do we have a motion or a second on either
I
one
will
of
move
those?
to remove the Grandview field improvements this year and replace the handguns for 2014.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Any other items on the agenda that you'd like to change or look at? You want to vote on just the one change? I thought we'd vote on the whole project then. There was an amendment to it.
Oh, but you got a motion for this one.
Okay.
Unless you want to make the motion to do the whole budget with that change, that would be the other
I
option.
will amend my motion to do the entire budget with that change.
So, to the rest of my council members, and you think those two projects that, well, we took the 6,100 off of Grandview, but so there's what, $60,000 that could be used elsewhere. Do you think those two projects are important?
I think, I've already expressed, I think the pavilion roof repair is important, yes. If it's starting to deteriorate, the cost is just gonna go up.
Well, it's just like we've been encountered with the roads that, you know, it's perceived that they've been let go. If we let parks go,
I don't think that park's as bad as what suggested.
Before we get any further, is there a second to her motion, the amendment?
I seconded it.
Would you second?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the change?
The changes are okay with me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, sorry, Kurt.
Since we're gonna have the discussion next time about the other stuff, I'm okay with that.
I just feel that, and I haven't assessed it personally, so I have to go off of Tom's assessment of it. If he's correct, I just feel we're gonna flip-flop and we're gonna be behind the 8 ball on that maintenance, and it's gonna cost more, not only due to inflation, but it's just gonna be a bigger project.
And each of these things can come back, and we can talk about them again, can't we, if we want to change some things around?
That's correct, because we are going to have that carryover, whatever's not approved.
Right.
You know, if something is excluded from here, that's going to be more money that we have in a carryover balance that would be subject to future projects, or, you know, to reduce the amount of funding, because if you recall in our 5-year plan, we would probably go through another kind of 2-year planning cycle sometime mid to late 2014 and potentially issue debt for 2015 and 16 capital.
Well,
So, you know, we can always carry those funds over.
the question I think Randy is asking is that, so these have come through the Park Board and then Public Works for approval? Or have they not?
They've been approved, you approved these. at a
Public
pri-
work? Yeah.
No, the council
No.
approved them as well.
Right.
Yes.
They-
As part of the as part of the 5-year plan, you approved this.
Correct. But the individual projects, such as the roof repair,
They were approved as
Those were
part of the
listed
5-year
in the
plan.
5-year
Right.
plan.
But I'm really trying to grasp so that we've all heard our roads and everything needs to be repaired. Our citizens are asking us to save, or not save, but fix our roads. And we're gonna fix for $25,000 and $35,000, we're gonna put a roof on a shelter that we rent out.
Okay, how much
You know-
how much do we rent that shelter out? Every weekend? In the summer?
Was it the youth packet in the user fees?
Yeah,
You have that?
I'm past that.
I'll find it.
But I feel that there's also residents requesting a lot more park.
Right, my point, that's my
Infrastructure.
point.
So this is maintaining what we already have. I agree, there's plenty of residents that speak about the roads, but there's also those that speak about more parkland, more
And
park amenities.
Prospect's
So-
our key part, is our key park on the north side, and White Camp's our key park on the south side.
I
They're
sat
supposed
on
to
the
be anchor
park board
parks.
for 6 years and it never came up once that that roof needed a repair.
Oh, then.
Well, what I'm saying is, there's residents that want more park amenities. I don't think we should let the ones that we go.
You don't think we've done a lot of work in our parks the last few years?
Well, I think
Holy
Lakefront Park
smokes.
could use some work.
My point is, there's also residents that feel the money should be going.
I'm not saying we're gonna neglect them, but is it a want and a need when our roads are desperately falling apart?
Randy, the reality is we could take every dollar from our long-term budget, put it into roads, and there would still be need
Well,
for
then we
road
should
repair.
refocus the reality then, Lori.
No, I don't agree. $1 million is gonna repair how many roads?
You don't let everything else go
Right.
for
That
the
was
sake
what,
of
that's the
working.
We're not
problem that
letting it
happened
go.
in past councils, the roads
That's
got
your
let go.
opinion.
Well, did the roads get let go with past councils?
Yeah.
And do they look like, in your opinion, not so great right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to, you have to
You can't
balance
say
it.
we've let the parks.
Well, you
be
gotta
neglected.
balance it.
There were 51 rentals there.
51
over the
rentals
summer
at $100 a pop?
At Prospect.
Okay.
Last, I don't know what time period, summer.
That's 29, the large pavilion was 29 city residents, 2 city residents, and 1 nonprofit.
I took all of them.
Yep.
Everything for Prospect, there were 51 rentals.
So if that roof goes down, we lose how much for the park there, you know? 5,000? I mean, the point is that we use it. It's used. It's not unused. It's the key park to the north side. I think we need to repair the roof, Randy. I think you need to focus on something else.
$90 per rental for the
Swoosh
city
me.
residents.
We
So
have,
90
we have
times
X
30
number,
is-
yeah. But we have X number of dollars in our budget, and we're trying to allot it. I guess that's what we're trying to do, and we can't, there isn't enough money for everything that we want to do, so,
So
Well,
half of
we'll-
what we're borrowing is going toward roads.
absolutely.
Will
Over
we be
half.
looking
Over
at our
half.
5-year plan annually, I guess is?
Correct,
Okay.
absolutely.
So if we front-loaded on some park action here, that would likely adjust, hopefully, based
We're
on
not even
use and
front loading
repair.
on park action.
Well, right.
I mean, we're maintaining what we have.
So we have a motion and a second.
Yeah,
Correct.
can I call the question?
Sure. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
What was that motion for? Because if you called the question, you need to have that voted on before you
Okay,
can go to
let's,
the previous
I-
question.
my mistake, sorry. All those in favor of having the motion called for, or the call for the question, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Now, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item, discussion and possible action on the feral cat trap and neuter release program. Who's the lucky person that gets to talk about this?
Marty's not here, huh? You want to, Denny?
The memo's from the city attorney, correct?
Are you familiar with it?
Oh, I'm familiar enough.
All right.
Yeah, I've read, Kathy and I have talked about this, and I've read her memo, and probably the most important, well, there's 3 things that she's presented for you. You have a committee recommendation to work with farm, feral, and stray, to work with private property owners, and to amend appropriate ordinances. That amendment, if I'm or that recommendation, if I'm understanding it correctly, doesn't speak to the first issue that Catherine raised, which was the issue of liability insurance.
Oh, yeah, well, that's why the private property, because if they were going to be in the city property, we were gonna require liability insurance, but if they can make an agreement with private property owners, then it's off the city's back, from what we understood by Catherine, so that is what we proceeded in public safety with
All
that
right.
plan.
That's our
Okay,
recommendation,
okay.
yeah.
Then the question becomes the issue of whether there is a way into where it needs to be, where the trapping would take place without going over private property. It sounds like there's not.
Well, again, we made it so that, basically, if they don't get permission from private property owners, they're not trapping. I mean, that's the bottom line. The city.
Because they
washed
can't
their-
have
yeah,
liability insurance?
Right, the city
Okay.
washed their hands of it. We said, if you can get permission from private property owners, go for it.
Do we know if they have the permission or not?
They were working with Hanley Place, and I know the Hanley Place management was wanting it done, I just don't know what the final outcome was.
Yeah, it was interesting, because what Catherine was reporting was that the representative of the trapping organization had contacted Hanley Place and had not received an answer. Now, that was as of, I suppose, last week sometime. But this memo also noted that the trapping representative thought there would be suitable access on city property, so somehow they need to be disabused of that notion.
Yeah, I think we did that at public safety.
They were there.
Yeah, they were at
Yeah.
public
Okay.
safety, and so this memo was for us prior to public safety, and
Okay,
then we
okay.
expressed it to them at public safety that it's one way, basically,
Okay.
and that way is private.
Do we have enough information to make a decision? We don't know if they've made a deal with the property owner, do we?
I don't know if we have to even make a decision, because if it's a private thing, it doesn't involve us.
We have to change our
We have to
ordinance.
change some ordinances, yeah, to amend for actually trapping,
And releasing and
And
feeding and
feeding, yeah.
not licensing.
Well, and before you go amending ordinances,
Yeah.
it might be useful to find out from the organization whether they've made the arrangements that they
Right.
need to make, that, you know, they understand that they aren't gonna be on public property in any way, shape, or form, and they have to arrange private access. And I don't know that any of that has been done. You know, Catherine and I talked about this Friday, and
That makes sense.
it didn't sound like any of, you know, it didn't sound like anything had changed.
I thought they would be here tonight to,
Mary, were they at the last public safety
yes,
meeting?
they were, and so they're very aware, and we told them that it would be at this meeting, so I thought they'd be here tonight, so they might have been able to answer our questions, which is
Okay.
why it was put on the agenda, so I don't know if we want to table it to next meeting.
I think,
I'll
well,
make
I don't know,
that
what's your
motion.
pleasure? I
Make
think,
a motion, I'll second a motion to table it.
did you make a motion?
Postpone.
I
Postpone?
Postpone it, I'm sorry, to the next meeting.
Okay. And there's a motion to postpone and a second. Any discussion on that? Everybody okay with that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think that's the agenda pretty much completed. Received a copy from the St. Croix Historical Society for, thank you for the subsidy for the Octagon House. As you know, it keeps our museum and tourist asset for the city. We have a busy Christmas tour of homes already, getting to the third grade tours. We'll soon be planning for our next season. Again, thank you for your help. The city subsidy helps us to operate and maintain Octagon House, the jewel of Hudson. We also received a thank you from the senior citizens, again, for $625 for the quarter. Thank you for their, for the money. It was nice. With the cold weather, it says we have a lot more folks coming for meals. A couple weeks ago, I think I made a comment about a roundabout at Minnetonka. I was wrong. It was East Ridge, excuse me. I knew it couldn't be right. I knew it couldn't be right, yeah. Minnetonka couldn't be right. But I don't know what I was thinking about Minnetonka, so I just wanted to correct that from 2 weeks ago. I read that afterwards, and I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and thank the council and our staff for a good year. I think everyone worked well together. We've had a lot of things going on, and I think we did a good job this year. So thank you, and happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas to everyone. Any council person have anything they'd like to add?
Just a footnote from the Cable Access Board, they have finished with St. Croix Historical Society, have finished a 3-hour History of Hudson video, which I guess is actually very, it's taken a long time to finish it, but it's pretty good, I guess.
And I do have a copy, we have a copy in my office, so if any of you want to.
Is that being played on a regular basis?
You know, I'm not sure. I think it's available for sale at the Octagon House. You just mentioned them, so.
But they
that's
did
kinda
provide the
part of
city
it.
with a copy, so if any of the council members, it's on DVD, yes.
Okay, city administrator, anything?
Next meeting is January 13th, so there's a 4-week, just to remind everybody of that. And the deadline for nomination papers is January 7th of 2014 at 5 p.m., which is a Tuesday. And anybody that's interested needs to come in and register prior to taking the nomination papers out.
Al, I had one thing, though.
Yes, sir.
Did we not ask for street projects for this meeting? To lay those out, so we get a better start on it?
Tom, do you remember that? Street projects for this meeting?
Did we not ask for that for this meeting?
I had them turned into Karen, she's working on numbers.
Didn't we request those projects this meeting,
Thought it was gonna
or?
be the
I
next-
feel like what it was we were gonna talk about them at Public Works, and then we didn't have Public Works.
I think it was going back to committee. I'm not positive, but I think, and then,
We'll get it in January.
yeah. So
Well, we
I can
wanted,
put
you're
that
right,
on-
Randy, though we wanted to get
I
it
will
done
put
as
that on
fast as we
the
could.
January 13th
Yeah.
agenda then.
Okay, thank you. City attorney, anything?
No.
Okay, anyone else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.